The Hogwarts Legacy trailer has Harry Potter fans everywhere, buzzing with excitement at all the possibilities for an open-world action RPG set in the wizarding world. I know you guys are excited. I'm certainly excited, and today I want to share with you 10 features we absolutely need to see in Hogwarts Legacy. People of the internet, RetroRaconteur here. If we're meeting for the first time, I'm just a dad who loves games and the stories they tell. We post videos every week here on YouTube and also stream over on Twitch. In today's video, I'll be going over 10 features I would love to see make it into Hogwarts Legacy. As we go through each feature idea, I'll also give you my guess on how likely I think we are to see it actually in the final game. Obviously, we still have some time before the game hits, and even though we've seen one official trailer, there are still a lot of unknowns about the game. We know it will have its own story, but how close will it stick to the rules of the wizarding world we already know and love? I think these 10 features would excite longtime fans of the series and would go a long way to show how much Avalanche wants to please fans of the books and movies. After you've made it through the full list, let me know down in the comments below which feature you'd want to see the most. And with that, let's get into the list. Number 1. Animagi. We meet our first Animagi within the first few scenes of Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone as Minerva McGonagall waits patiently for the arrival of baby Harry at number 4 Privet Drive. As the series progresses, Animagi become even more prominent, especially in Prisoner of Azkaban, when we learn about James Potter and his marauder companions. Book readers may recall this more easily than movie-only fans, as there were quite a few details here that the movies failed to show. Sirius Black, Remus Lupin, James Potter, and Peter Pettigrew were the best of friends throughout their time at Hogwarts. Lupin was actually bitten and changed into a werewolf as a child. When his friends learned of the affliction, they all decided to become Animagi in order to keep him company. Sirius became a dog, Peter became a rat, and James became a stag. At first glance, this may seem like something a little too difficult to tackle for the devs at Avalanche, but I think there are several ways they could make it work and give players the ability to become an Animagus. For starters, Avalanche wouldn't need to include a ton of animal options here. They could simply include a handful of common animals that may all have the same basic abilities. In fact, according to the Harry Potter canon, wizards who chose to become an Animagus did not get to select a specific Animagus. Instead, they turned into the animal that suited them best. The main issues for the devs here would obviously be figuring out how to make the Animagi unique enough, but also not to the point where certain challenges or levels would be too easy. Number 2. Apparition. If it's been a while since you've read the books or watched the movies, apparating is basically teleportation for wizards. Being able to apparate in Hogwarts Legacy would be a fantastic option for late game fast travel, even if it's probably something we wouldn't want right from the start of the game, just for the sake of exploration. Of course, there's also the issue of Hogwarts not even allowing apparition without certain charms being lifted. Again, this is set way in the past, so maybe that rule is not in place yet. In fact, if they wanted to go really crazy, they could actually make something insane happen that would cause the rule to be set in the first place. There you go, Avalanche. There you go. In truth, fast travel is something most open world games end up having anyway, although most of them don't have the lore to make it perfectly believable and seamless within the world. In the Harry Potter series, students begin learning to apparate in year 6. We aren't sure yet how old our character will be in Hogwarts Legacy or if we'll be playing through all 7 years. Early rumors and leaks indicated we will play as a student in year 5, but none of that has been confirmed as of yet. Now, even though you can't apparate in and out of Hogwarts, students at the school did have the option of taking a series of classes taught by wizards from the Ministry of Magic. This took place in Harry Potter's 6th year, and they were also required to pass an exam before they could do it legally. Now, unlike number 1 on our list, this should actually be fairly simple to implement, as most open-world games today have a fast travel system in place, at least by the end of the game. Tying fast travel into apparating, though, would really be adding a level of detail we Potterheads have been known to obsess over. Number 3. Seasonal weather changes. As each Harry Potter book takes place over the course of a single year, there were always key moments fans looked forward to with each book, such as Halloween, Christmas, Quidditch season, and end-of-year exams. Okay, maybe we didn't look forward to the exams. Weather changes are also a great way to keep things feeling fresh visually throughout a game. You can really show off your environments and highlight different details as you move between the seasons. We also saw the Harry Potter movies make references to weather changes throughout the school year, usually using the Whomping Willow to do that. Now, actually, I think this one has a very high chance of happening. Weather changes are something we've seen in games for quite some time now, but I hope they don't stop there. Fingers crossed we actually get changing scenery and decorations within the castle as well. Hogwarts at Halloween, Hogwarts at Christmas. Yes, please, give it to me, Avalanche. Given how common weather changes are in video games and the fact that Hogwarts Legacy is all about immersing ourselves in the wizarding world, I fully expect this to be a feature when the game ships. Number 4, Polyjuice Potion.
I think I'm gonna be sick.
We first learned about Polyjuice Potion in Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, when Harry and Ron pose as Slytherins to try and learn of Draco Malfoy's connection to the heir of Slytherin. Polyjuice would end up playing a prominent role throughout the rest of the series, as we see it used several times in key moments. I think this would be a fun addition to the game as a potion that could be used to complete certain side quests. Okay, just imagine this for a second. You're playing as a dark wizard and you're tasked with the objective of becoming one of the Hogwarts professors. Then maybe you have to go and meet with the headmaster to obtain some information that you need to do something nefarious. Polyjuice would also give us a way to explore all the other house common rooms, much like Harry and Ron did in Year 2 with the Slytherin common room. Number 5, House Elves in the Kitchens. Okay, this one isn't so much of a feature, I admit, but it would be an awesome Easter egg for longtime fans of the series. Helga Hufflepuff, one of the 4 Hogwarts founders, was known for her tolerance and generosity. She's the one who's responsible for giving house elves the opportunity to work in the Hogwarts kitchens for their safety. With this game being open world, there's a good chance we'll be able to explore large sections of Hogwarts. Just imagine being able to sneak into the Hogwarts kitchens at night to chat with the house elves working there. Perhaps Avalanche could even take it a step further by having side quests that aid the house elves or even take place in the kitchens themselves. We've already had a number of races and magical creatures confirmed to be in Hogwarts Legacy, so I'd actually be surprised if we don't see house elves in the final game. They're a key part of the world, and Avalanche could really go the extra mile if they had them show up in the Hogwarts kitchens. Number 6, Quidditch. We already know brooms and flying are in the game, as we've seen students gearing up for a flying lesson in the trailer. So it would be amazing to see the devs take things a little bit further by letting us play Quidditch for our house. Quidditch has been featured in a few of the Harry Potter video games already, and even got its own game in 2003 with EA's Harry Potter Quidditch World Cup. One of the key components of any open world game is to have extra activities and side quests that help to build up the world and give you more to do in addition to the main campaign. Quidditch is a perfect candidate for that purpose. The question here is, how deep do they want to go? Should Quidditch be part of the storyline where you play against other houses, or should it be more informal and recreational, something you can do at any time with fellow classmates? Or maybe they could really go the extra mile. Let us have it both ways. Let you play Quidditch anytime you want. This could be considered practicing with your own house. Then at various points throughout the story, you could participate in actual matches against the other houses. Since Quidditch has been done in video games before, which would give Avalanche a framework to work from, and we already know flying by broomstick is for sure in, I think this one has a decent shot at happening. Number 7, the House Cup. We already know the 4 Hogwarts houses will be featured prominently throughout the game. The trailer actually gives us a glimpse of the sorting ceremony, where we can see older students, who have already been sorted, seated at their house tables to look on. The trailer also features plenty of references to Gryffindor, Ravenclaw, Hufflepuff, and Slytherin. Considering that we'll learn many kinds of magic and take classes like potions, herbology, and transfiguration, it only makes sense for us to compete against classmates for high scores. Based on how high we score, we could receive house points that accumulate throughout the game. If there's Quidditch, that would also affect the point total. At the end of the year, should your house emerge victorious, it would be amazing to see the Great Hall decorated with your house colors and sigil. This type of point system actually lends itself very well to a video game, and since we already know the houses will play a role, I think this has a pretty solid chance to be in the final game. Number 8, Romance.
Ruddy pumpkinhead, isn't he? I don't think it was the books that had him going to the library.
As Harry ages throughout the original series, we see relationships and romance take on a more prominent role. Romance really started to take center stage in Goblet of Fire with the Yule Ball. That's where we saw Ron's jealousy over Victor Krum asking Hermione to the Yule Ball. Books 5, 6, and 7 saw even more romance, with characters having first kisses, going through breakups, and even getting married in the case of Bill and Fleur. When it comes to video games, romantic partner options have become more and more popular with both developers and fans. It just so happens that many of these games fall squarely within the same action RPG genre as Hogwarts Legacy. Some of the most prominent games in recent memory with romance options would be The Witcher, Mass Effect, and Dragon Age. I could see this as something that the devs don't really want to spend their time on in a world where they already have to worry about magical creatures, powerful spells, and brewing potions. But then again, the game does take place at a school for teens and preteens, a place where relationships dramatically shape one's experience throughout school. I'll consider this one a toss-up. Number 9, multiplayer co-op. To be fair to Avalanche here, they're telling us up front that Hogwarts Legacy is a single-player adventure. At the same time, I know a lot of fans want this to happen. It's not out of the realm of possibility that we could see a co-op mode added somewhere down the line. After all, the only thing better than learning spells, flying brooms, and brewing potions is doing it along with a friend. They could even have specific co-op levels that can only be completed with the help of a friend. I do think there's a chance we could see this added at some point down the road, but right now I would have to rate the odds as pretty low. Number 10, unique magic based on light and dark. The devs' early communication on Hogwarts Legacy has heavily focused on the concept of player choice. In fact, the game is all about the legacy our character will leave at Hogwarts. With this being such a prominent focus, I think the chances are pretty good that we'll see different gameplay elements that change based on if we play as good or instead choose to delve into the dark side of magic. One of my favorite series from the PS3 era of video games is Infamous. If you aren't familiar with this open-world superhero title from Sucker Punch Studios, it also featured a morality system that gave you a choice between good and evil. Infamous really made you feel this in terms of the powers you wielded. Evil spells should be more violent and aggressive, whereas light spells should be more restorative and defensive. If the early leaked trailer is any indication, we can already count on seeing basic spells such as Alohomora, Depulso, and Lumos, among others. But these spells aren't inherently good or bad. The obvious answer here for dark magic would be the unforgivable curses, Crucio, Avada Kedavra, and Imperio. On the light side, maybe we'd get something like the Patronus Charm, which is incredibly difficult for any wizard, but even more so for wizards who don't have a happy enough memory to draw from. The biggest problem here is that this wouldn't really match up with the canon. In the original series, there really isn't dark magic, as even good witches and wizards are capable of casting an unforgivable curse. Maybe this is where Avalanche could use some of their creative freedom with the world to add a couple of light spells and a couple of dark spells that are only possible if you go down that respective path. Would you guys like to see something like that, or would you prefer they stick to the canon? At the very least, I do think we could get different visual effects for our spells based on if we're light or dark. Hopefully you guys can tell just how excited I am to learn even more about this game, and I know you are too. I definitely plan on making even more Hogwarts Legacy videos, so make sure you hit that subscribe button before you go, and go ahead and give this video a thumbs up as well. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.